excuse my reintroduction to you here. So good morning and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, where souls are nurtured and lives are transformed through the use and the practice of the principles of the science of mind philosophy. My name is Reverend George Stewart, or Rev G as I prefer, and I am privileged and honored to be one of the spiritual leaders here at Center for Spiritual Living Greater Boston, if I can get that out, along with Reverend Ed Tansey as the founders and the spiritual leaders of this community. And I want to welcome everyone who is live streaming this morning with our Facebook family. We welcome you this morning, our viewers at home. And just so you know, we are located at 50 Dudley Street in beautiful Cambridge, Massachusetts. We thank you for your financial support, those of you who have financially supported you. And if you haven't yet done so, we welcome that financial support. You can simply go to our website at cslboston.org, click on the donate tab. Donate tab. Okay. I drove by Dunkin' Donuts this morning. Just like, which is not hard to do in New England. But and then just click on that donate tab and open your hearts and your wallets and allow the circulation of the divine to fill your life with the abundance of giving and receiving. So, in continuing with our 2017 theme of values-based living that Centers for Spiritual Livings all across the country are following, this month, November, is all about financial health and prosperity. So that is one of the spiritual values that we are celebrating this month of November. My talk this morning is a grateful heart. I always love playing with my PowerPoints. So this next week we're going to be celebrating Thanksgiving here in the United States. They already have in Canada. They're always having it. But here we're going to be doing it. So many of us will be coming together with family and friends and other things like that to celebrate our love of one another. Because that's really what it's about. We think it's all about the food. Well, I know. Rev Ed thinks it's about it. I'm going to throw you under the bus. It's so fun if we can, right? But there's a power in taking our time to show our gratitude. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. You know, Ernest Holmes said, an attitude of gratitude is most salutary and bespeaks the realization that we are now in heaven. I love what he's saying here. It's more than just an attitude of gratitude, but it's the realization that we're already in heaven. And we get to make that choice. We get to choose that power to make that choice. So he's telling us this here. You know, I love this other quote I found too, which was from Science of Mind magazine from November 24th of 2011. And that's, gratitude is a creative energy that creates more for which to be grateful for. Has anybody done gratitude practices? Right? And have you noticed that when you take that time to be grateful for even the little things, that it just opens up and you have more to be grateful for? So it's a very powerful, powerful process. So this is a time to look at what the grateful heart means. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. What that means. And the power that we can find by using that. The power that we can find by using that grateful heart. So what stands in the way of a grateful heart? Anybody? What stands in the way of a grateful heart? Resentment. Oh God, yeah, right. That's a big one. Mm-hmm. Exactly, right? So we have lack consciousness, absolutely. Fear. Fear's a big one. Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's all kinds of things that are out there trying to limit our good. So it's up to us to use these conscious practices, and the practice we're talking about today is a grateful heart. So that's the thing that I really want to work with you on today. So would you also agree that those are the things that stop us from having an amazing and awesome life? Right? Those are the things that limit our good, that limit the things that we can experience in life. So today what I want to talk about is a few different things. The first one is belief in limitation, because I had to ask myself some questions, and I'm going to go through those later. But belief in limitation is what came up for me in this being able to experience a grateful heart. And then the next one I want to talk about is the dream of the power of a grateful heart. So it's dreaming to get ourselves out of the limitation, and I'll talk about that more later in the talk. And then opening to the possibilities. So these are the three things that I want to cover for you here today in this talk. Now, Eric Butterworth in Spiritual Economics says, some persons, realizing the importance of the grateful heart, will begin looking for things for which to give thanks. However, they mistakenly start with the perspective of inadequacy and insufficiency, and thus they simply become more conscious of limitation. That's a powerful statement. Because sometimes, I know I've even said this to people before. It's like, well, look for something to be grateful. But what happens if I'm looking for something to be grateful? I'm in a sense of this insufficiency or inadequacy, aren't I? Now, granted, I can use that to get into a more grateful space. So there's nothing wrong with doing a gratitude journal or any of those things. It's just realizing that it's more about not really looking for it, but just feeling that gratitude. So that's more of what I want to talk about later. So I had to ask myself, and this is something that I really found powerful. I used a process, and I'm going to share that process as we go along here. So I had to ask myself, what are the most pressing problems when it comes to having a grateful heart? So I took a few moments, I asked myself those questions, and then I wrote for like 2 minutes, I think it was. It was a practice that I learned, and I really love it. And so the answer that came for me out of that was my belief in limitation. That was the answer that came when I asked what are the problems, was like my belief in limitation. So does anybody come from one of those families that says money doesn't grow on trees? We can't afford it. Any others, so we can come up with some of those wonderful phrases that our families gave us, right? And we love our families, and we know that they are just perfect where they are, because they're doing it from a place of love. No matter what the outward appearance may have been, they were trying to do their best with what they knew and what they had. So we always love and bless that, and know that is a good thing. So I remember in my family, you would get the ultimatum. I called it the ultimatum. And I can remember my brother and I, we'd see what the kids in the neighborhood had. We'd say, hey, well, Jimmy has a bike down the block. Why can't I have a bike, right? And of course you got the phrase of, money doesn't grow on trees and all of that. But you also got, this was the big one, and it was painful when you think about it, is that, well, you're not Jimmy. And if you want what Jimmy wants, then maybe you should go live in Jimmy's house, right? So as a kid, you're like going, oh my God. Did you get that? Yeah, yeah, you did, didn't you? I remember that. But as a kid, you're like thinking, oh my God, I don't want to live in Jimmy's house. I don't like the stuff they have in their house. I want to live in my house, right? But that's the ultimatum of, you're going to follow these edicts, and this is what we say, and you have to live with that. So we have all that baggage that we can release now. That now that we've grown up and we've taken on our own lives, we can now take responsibility for whatever's going on in our lives. So this is the important thing to realize. It's like they did the best that they could with all that they knew. And we just love them for that. And now we know we're responsible. I'm the big kid now. I get to take responsibility for my life. So it's a big thing. So it left me with the gift, I don't call it a gift, but the gift or the belief in limitation. And so from this place of this belief in limitation answer, I then asked the question, what do I feel, and ultimately, what do I believe about this problem? So what do I feel, and what do I believe about this problem? So those two things come into this question. And so from that question, giving myself about 2 minutes to write. I wrote down the thing that came to me was, I must believe in limitation as a reality that there is really not enough. I had to really look at my feelings and look at what I was believing about that. So I went to that place and I went, wow, that's pretty nasty. I don't like that. It's not good. But we know everything's good, so. So then what I did, where did I go from there? This was the thing that I thought was so powerful, and I learned this from a book that I was reading. And from this book, then I go to dream the power of a grateful heart. So I begin with this question, and this question is, what do I dream about a grateful heart? So I gave myself that question. I gave myself about 2 minutes to write on that. What do I dream about a grateful heart? What does that look like as a topic, as an idea? And what came up for me was, I dream that all may experience the power that comes from a grateful heart. That is my dream. That's the dream. So that came from, I like to say, that inner place, the divine place, which is always wanting us to have the good. Always. It's just us that limits that good. So from that answer, then I went to my feelings and my beliefs about that answer. Notice I went back to the feelings and beliefs about that answer. So my feelings and beliefs that came up out of that answer was, and I got a dream of transmuting limited belief by using the power of the grateful heart. Transmuting. So it's shifting that. It's changing that. It's moving back into the truth. Because the truth is, the divine wants us to have all of the good in the universe. We're the ones who tend to get in the way of it. So we have to learn to clear that out of our consciousness and open up to the possibility. So I really feel that Eric Butterworth sums this up nicely in the following. You do not need something to be grateful for. You need only the desire to feel grateful. Invoke Plato's law. When you feel grateful, you become great. And eventually attract great things. So you see this is I call this ancient wisdom because he's going back to Plato, right? It's like there's so much. It's this ancient wisdom. This is stuff that they knew back then, and we're still learning it today. But there's nothing wrong with that. We're just moving forward into a greater experience. So I think that he's saying exactly what came to me, and that's like, let's be in that place of, what do I dream of this? What are the possibilities of this? And so from there, this leaves the last thing that I want to talk about, and that's open to the possibilities. So now, when I get into this place of opening to the possibilities, I say, what do I want to learn or explore about the idea of a grateful heart? What do I want to learn or explore about this idea of a grateful heart? So I take that question to the next level. How do I want to grow into that? How do I want to expand into that? So the answer that came to me was, I want to learn how I can change our hearts and minds to be more open to possibilities. Not only mine, but everyone around me. So I want to learn how to open and change our minds and our hearts to be able to accept the possibilities. And I think that that's the important thing. Then I went to the feelings and the beliefs, because we need to go to those feelings and beliefs, because what's going on is our feelings and beliefs are creating our reality, and sometimes we're not fully aware of our feelings and beliefs. Sometimes that's a subconscious thing, because it gets buried down in there, like the message my parents gave me that you could go live with Jimmy. Right? That's a subconscious belief. That was in there when I did this talk. I welled that up. I brought it forward. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I holding on to here? This is useless. This doesn't empower me. So when I went to the feelings and beliefs, this led me to the answer. I need to be willing. I need to be willing to learn and grow, and that will open my heart to the possibilities. Being willing. Now, I've shared with you my story of the years that I worked at Bank of America, and I went to my practitioner and I said, I want out of Bank of America, right? And the practitioner says to me, she says, well, you don't want to change jobs, you want a new career. And at that time I was in ministry school, so I was working towards that. So she said, what I'm going to ask you to do is that every day that you walk into Bank of America, say, I am willing to release Bank of America. Just willing. Because willingness opens huge possibilities in our life. To be willing to accept the good. Are you willing to accept the good with me?
Yes.
Yes. So we're going to claim that. And I got a process that we're going to do. So, as we open up to these possibilities and we move into that place of willingness, what I'm going to ask you to do for me here today is I'm going to ask you to join me in a process. We're going to do the song I'm so grateful by Karen Drucker. But I want you to stand because I'm going to give you some instructions. So if you want to just stand up. So the instructions are this, because remember we're talking about a grateful heart. So what I want you to do is as we start the song, gratitude before me, I want you to be starting with your heart and then do this before me, okay? And then we're going to go back to the heart, and then we're going to do behind me. And then we're going to go back to the heart, and we're going to do to the left of me. And we go back to the heart and to the right of me. Then back to the heart, above me. And then back to the heart, below me. And then within me, we can just stay in the heart. And then gratitude all around me. Okay? And then once that goes back into the reprise of I'm so grateful, stay on your heart. And as you stay on your heart, I want you to imagine that in this presence of I'm so grateful, saying this over and over again, that you are able to absolutely transfigure, transmute, and dissolve anything that's limiting your life right now. Can you do that with me? All right. Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me,
Gratitude to
to
the
the
right.
right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful. 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 I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful. Gratitude for me. Gratitude behind me. Gratitude to the left of me. Gratitude to the right of me. Gratitude above me. Gratitude below me. Gratitude within me. Gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful.
Feel that transmuting power.
I'm so grateful. 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 Gratitude before me. Gratitude behind me. Gratitude to the left of me. Gratitude to the right of me. Gratitude above me. Gratitude below me. Gratitude within me. Gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful.
And feel that.
I'm so grateful.
Feel the power.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
closed your eyes, because I know I was just like eating that up by closing my eyes. Go ahead and have a seat. How did that feel? Feel good?
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had the power to break something up that may have been limiting your life? Did you feel like you had something powerful going on inside of you? A few tears in the room? Yeah, I know, right? It's like when we break through all those things, I call those liquid prayers. But you see the power of gratitude. This is, you just experienced the power of gratitude. You just experienced that. And you weren't saying what you were grateful for. Did you notice that? You were just realizing that it's like gratitude in front of me and in back of me and all around me. You were lifting and shifting your consciousness with just simple words that moved you into a place of not looking for certain things, so not being in that insufficiency consciousness, but in the fullness. And what happens from there? Once I get that feeling, I can move into the world, right? So I use these songs, believe me. These are things that I have real handy anytime, especially when I'm in moments like you were talking about, Vicki, about feeling that. It's like I can move right into that and I can get my space back. I can get my control back. I can get my power back. You know, our New Thought singers are constantly blessing us with new and beautiful songs that lift us without any of the guilt or the limitation of the separation of the past that I no longer need, that none of us need anymore. So in conclusion, if limitation is what is standing in the way of your grateful heart, look limitation in the face and ask the question, what do I feel and believe about you, limitation? What do I feel and believe about you, limitation? And that's where your work begins. Then, dream. Dream about what is the power or what is the ability for me to shift or change this limitation. And then believe in the power of the grateful heart to transmute and transfigure our lives into the fullness and the wholeness and the completeness that we are meant to experience. I ask you to join me in that journey. And the last thing is, open to the possibilities. Open to the possibilities. You know, we talk about the quantum energy field is infinite possibilities. All we have to do is bring that into our life. That's all we have to do. And we do that by observing the possibilities. By just observing them. And it opens that possibility. It opens the greatness of our lives. So please join with me as I pray. This is our affirmational prayer work that we do. Spiritual mind treatment, as Ernest Holmes called it. So just setting aside any distractions and becoming present right here and right now. I stand firm in the realization and the recognition that there is one infinite universal power. One creative source, one universal good, one light, one love, one joy, one peace, one perfection, one wholeness that is awake and aware and alive in and as and through everything. It is full and it is complete. And it is in and as and through everything. I am grateful in this realization. I am grateful in knowing that this power and this presence, that is the source and the substance of all. That is the universal quantum possibility field. That is the scientific principle that is absolutely provable over and over and over again. It is all those things and more, and I call this power the Mother, Father, God. That is the God of my understanding. And so I recognize and I realize right here and right now that this power, being the source and substance of everything, is all that I am, and I am one with it. And as I realize this about myself, I know this about each and every one in this beautiful sanctuary this morning, and I know this even further and even greater as it expands out into an ever greater understanding into all of the cosmos. Each and every individual is encompassed in this oneness right here and right now. I claim it, I declare it, I know it is so. And from here, from knowing who I am and whose I am, I call forth the truth right here and right now that the power of the grateful heart for each one in this room and all throughout the cosmos is able to transmute, transfigure, and transform each life into an ever greater expression of the good that is meant to be experienced right here and right now. I claim this good for each one. I declare this good right here for each one, knowing that this divine presence says yes. 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 And so in a place of full and complete gratitude, of thanksgiving, knowing that it is always the Mother, Father, God's good pleasure to give the kingdom right here and right now, that heaven is here and now, I declare this in thanksgiving, knowing that it is done. And so I release, I let go, I surrender this word into that infinite activity of the law, the spiritual principle that absolutely makes everything so in life. I surrender it completely. I let it go for this or something even better, and I say, blessed be, amen, ashe, ah women. And together we say, and so it is.